So we're going to try to take you through start to finish through my process. We start with a very wrinkled kind of shirt here. I have a heating pad that I use underneath that protects the table and is a nice place to press to. It's kind of spongy, kind of old, probably need a new one. I didn't show that in my pan video, but it's what's laying underneath the shirt. So we take our shirt. We ensure that the collar is onto the pad so we'll have something to press against. And then I just smooth out my shirt. I know you guys, a lot of you guys have a full heat press, which if you have a full heat press, this is going to work fine for you. The threadable ones are really cool, very expensive, but it gets your shirt real nice and flat. It's not our 100% focus here. And like I've probably said in other videos that we're teaching people here that's using low profile setups, inexpensive setups. So we don't have access to that. But if you do have access to those threadable heat press and those larger heat press, if you have those, likely the t-shirt guide is something you don't need because your heat press is pulling the shirt so big you can see the exact center of your shirt. And if you got that, great for you. You spent a lot of money on a heat press, you should get your money's worth out of it. But if you don't, and you're placing your graphics like this, you want to get it on there, get it smooth. I use a Teflon sheet to protect the shirt and to protect the heat press. I probably should use a new one. This is a little bit dirty, but it's okay. But then the first thing I do is like to press out my shirt. Now what pressing out the shirt does is going to give me a nice flat area and no wrinkles that would affect the HTV when you're pressing on it. So that's what I'm looking for. And it's also getting moisture to lift up out of the shirt and adding heat to get it ready. So after I do that, I brush it back in some wrinkles. I just dropped pad there. My heat press is beeping. Okay, so we'll smooth those wrinkles out that I created in there. And I'm going to take my cooling block and I'm just going to cool down the shirt a little bit too. The reason why I do that is because when I place my HTV onto the shirt, it has this layer behind it is actually adhesive. So I don't want that adhesive to start the process while I'm placing and putting my shirt down. So I want my shirt, it doesn't have to be 100% cool, but I don't want it to be hot when I touch it so that the adhesive actually starts to activate. I take my heat press guide and I set it just around the shirt, just around the collar. And that's going to give me my 2 inches from the bottom of the shirt, about 3 inches from the top of the collar there, and a good flat plane to work with. So we're working with our pie graphic as we showed you at the beginning of the video. It's basically a circle with detailed design in the middle of it. So I can place my circle, and this is a rather large graphic. As I said before in the FAQ videos and in the left chest video that you might have seen, that it depends on the design for that subjective placement where you're going to place the graphic at along the shirt. Bigger designs, you want to edge them up a little bit higher. So I'm going to meet this right at the 2 point right there. And as you saw probably with my video for my RBG video, even her crown even moved up even above the 2 line. The reason why I do that is with bigger graphics, they tend to start to sit low and sink down low into the belly section of the person. And that's not where you really want your graphics to end up. Smaller graphics, you might want to inch down a little bit more to get them more to the center of the chest, especially one-line words or letters. And so you have a little play on that north and south placement of the graphic. But I am placing this one with the tip right at the top, using my 2 inches from there. So real quickly, while we have it here, this normally would be it for the t-shirt guide. We would pull it out and move it out of the way. What I want to do is bring in the mini to show you that you place the mini in the same place and you end up with the same result. So the mini and the regular works exactly the same way. But as you can see, this is a smaller thing to work with, probably quicker and lighter to get in and out, but it doesn't give you that stability and a good long line across the shirt. And that would be the differences of the mini. And of course, the left and right t-shirt print, left and right logo selection. So as I have this on my shirt, I go ahead and just place my Teflon sheet to cover it again. The HTV I am using is, again, the heat transfer source layerable glitter. I've been using this a lot. I'm using this on white shirts. I just love it. I think it's gorgeous, so I've kind of went overboard with it. I promise this is the last white with black and the multi-colored shirt that I'm going to do. I'll do some more colored shirts from now on to get some variety in the look. But I just fell in love with this HTV and I thought it was really, really great. So I press this HTV at 155 for 15 seconds. And I go ahead and hit my easy press and let it count down. I'm not really putting any pressure on it. I'm just kind of letting the easy press be the pressure, because the easy presses are actually heavy. So they put enough pressure by themselves sitting there. I sit on it, I take my Teflon sheet off, and then I want to get, since I'm layering on this, I am going to get this cooled down a bit. If you touch this side, that is hot. Now, if you go to this side, it's just warm. So this cooling block actually really brings the temperature down. We kind of found that out accidentally. We were doing tests on our t-shirt guide to see how durable they were, and what would happen if you accidentally left it in the heat press or something of that nature. And we noticed that it soaked up a ton of heat, and it really took a lot to get this thing to get the t-shirt guide to actually warp or bend. You would have to leave it in the press for several minutes. If you do leave your t-shirt guide in your press for several minutes, it will melt. But it's going to take it a while to do it. But in doing that, we noticed that the acrylic that we use soaked up a lot of the heat. And then we did the test again, and then we noticed that it took even more heat. And what that is called is heat soaking. When you soak something with heat, its tolerance becomes more susceptible to the heat for the next time. So we thought that, okay, we're going to heat soak these things and use them as cooling blocks. And they worked perfectly. And so then we decided to put them up for sale. So that's kind of a little backstory on the cool touch there. Sorry, lost my train of thought. So from here, I like to use graphics that are self-contained within themselves. I got a style of designing. I design most of my stuff myself. I got a style of designing where I design for weeding, because we have several pieces of equipment here. We do glass etching, we do laser cutting, we do UV printing, and the way you design for each and everything you do, from HTV, if you're making HTV for t-shirts, or if you're making stencils to paint on, you should design with that purpose in mind. So buying just a standard SVG, yeah, it works. But when you get really complicated SVGs or ones with really details that's really beautiful, you really need to be aware of what you're using it for and design for that purpose. And that's a whole nother tutorial that we hopefully will get into. And when we design this, we design these so that they weed well, so that when they weed, there's not things curled up on themselves, so the weeding come off. And then more importantly, we try to design them so that when we're doing layering, that the one layer matches up with the other layer, and you don't need any additional guidance to line these things up. Now, if you do, there's some designs that you just can't avoid that. And that's when you would bring the Easy Tee back to your table to help you line it. Maybe even use some of the angle guides on here and the measurement guides. But when you would bring this back to a shirt that's already heated on your press or whatever, it's going to be able to withstand the heat, and you can do other measurements if you're doing a really complicated shirt like that. My suggestion would be, if you can avoid those complications like that, avoid them and do it so your layering and everything just kind of lines up on its own and just sits where it's supposed to, especially if you have little keys and notches that you can fit from one layer to the other. That really makes the process a lot easier. So on the second layer, we will press it still at the 155 and still for 15 seconds. And we're letting it just sit lightly on the shirt here for that. Good, and it's done, and then we're going to take it off. And for layering any HTV, you want to definitely cool down the glue underneath, the adhesive underneath. So what you're doing is, you don't want to peel it when it's very hot so that it sticks to the carrier sheet and peels away. What you want to do is you want to have nice tension between the layer underneath, this being the glitter, and the HTV that's on top. Definitely more tension than you have between the HTV and the carrier sheet. And the carrier sheet, as you can see, holds a lot of tension depending on the HTV. So that's why you want to cool it down, and there you get a extremely nice layer. So probably for flat, smooth HTV, it stops there. For this HTV, I like to, and any other HTV that I've been layering on this glitter, I like to sink it into that glitter, because then it's going to do two things. It's going to keep the adhesion and make it stay together, but it also makes those colors give like they have glitter as well too. A muted glitter, but still a glitter, and it just, for me, is a dynamic look. I think it's great. This look works not only with the rainbow that I have here, but I've just been using the rainbow because I love it, but it also works for any other color that you can get that adheres to the layerable glitter. Now, again, you must be careful of what you use on the layerable glitter to make sure it works with it, because not all HTV works with it. I just cool it down just a little bit more from there, but as you can see, it is sunk in, and I'm going to give you some close-up shots here, but it's sunk in to the glitter now, and it just makes a great, beautiful design and a beautiful look. And this looks great on a lot of different designs. It really makes it pop. So that's really the tutorial of how we use it, how we made this shirt. We're going to come back with some additional tutorials, and like I said, in other videos, we'll be doing tutorials about various other craft products. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you got any questions, any comments, any ways that you think this can improve, just let us know in the comments below here. And thanks for watching, and thanks for being part of the group. And we'll see you in the next one.